it turns out that all of the Conservatives were correct about the gay agenda, according to San Francisco's Gay Men's Chorus. And I mean that literally. They literally say the Conservatives were right.
I'm not happy about calling these people gay.
No.
I don't think they should be in the same category as people who are attracted to the same
political leftists who are weaponizing their gay sexuality.
So the way Douglas Murray would refer to this in his book Madness of Crowds
Queer.
is like there's gay people like me who have a husband and we do our thing and that's it. And then there are queers. And the way Douglas Murray defines queer is people who are entirely about their sexuality and leftist activism.
Sort of monomaniacally, politically active in this way. But so this was published in honor of this video was published in honor of Pride Month, and it's called A Message from the Gay Community. So again, they're trying to assume that they speak for all gay people here, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be lots of gay people on the other side of this issue, because they say this. You think we're sinful, you fight against our right, you say we all lead lives you can't respect, but you're just frightened, you think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. Gay leftists who are like, hey, we're going to corrupt your children.
I mean, could you think of worse optics?
No, I couldn't think of anything that sounded more predatory.
Like,
I suppose if they used the word rape, that would have been worse.
I mean, if you're genuinely concerned that a substantial section of your society is homophobic, is not tolerant of homosexuals, and you want to increase tolerance of that, why would you say to them, we're here to take your kids?
Well, that's because you're the one in charge. That's why. You sound very much like the Turks going into Eastern Europe saying, hi, we're here for your children. I mean, literally, that's what they were doing. So it's quite awe-inspiring how arrogant this is. We'll convert your children happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. There's another lyric from it. I mean, I'm just glad the mask is off. I'm just glad that there's been like, yeah, hey, we're going to subtly corrupt your children. Again,
I'm not convinced that these people are like, oh, we're going to have your children be homosexual if they want to. It's leftism. So.
Yeah, they are talking into the ideology of leftism. Yeah. But that doesn't change it from having this generally predatory sort of gloss over it. And it really does seem pretty awful, to be honest. Because, I mean, at the end of the day...
It's not what a liberal would say.
No. This is not what a person who wasn't a predator would say. Because this is predatory. Saying that, look, I'm going to indoctrinate your children covertly without you knowing it. And we're going to make them... I mean, the thing they're trying to say is we're going to make them tolerant and fair. It's like, sure. I'm sure that's where it stops. I'm sure that's the place that you stop at. I believe you. I trust you. You know, I don't think that you're just looking for converts and recruits for your political movement, which is what you're obviously doing. And frankly, I'm kind of worried about what your intentions are on kids otherwise than that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I figure that what we do is watch a clip of it, because you have to see it for yourselves.
Do we?
Yes.
We'll convert your children, yes we will. Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it. 'Cause even grandma likes RuPaul. And the world's getting kinder. Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate. We're coming for them.
There we go.
We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them.
Right.
How do you think homophobic parents in the South are going to feel about that video?
Dude, I'm not homophobic at all. And all I'm seeing is a bunch of, adult men who are looking to predate on my children.
I know.
Like, I'm sorry, when a bunch of adult men go, we're coming for your children, my response would be, well, okay, I'm armed.
But even if you want to take it at its most charitable, in which you're
Why
just
would
like...
I do that?
But just for a second. Even then...
Communist snakes!
I know.
They're literally like, we're going to corrupt your children. You were right. We're definitely going to ruin them.
But even if you're someone at I'm not going to use Stonewall because they've been corrupted by leftism, but a gay rights organization, no one in the gay toleration camp would ever endorse making something like this.
Well, that's where you're wrong. Lots of people seem to have endorsed it. It was very popular.
Well, they're not in the gay toleration camp, are they? They're in the queer leftist camp.
Well, okay, yeah, fine, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, this to me seems to be an entirely predatory thing. If just a bunch of men are just saying we're coming for your children, that sounds really pedo-ish to me. And then they've all got their pride flags and things, which we'll get to in a minute. And so, sorry, I'm just no. I mean, especially when you just look at the quality of the people. I mean, this is the main singer. I just took a screenshot from it. He looks sallow and sickly, bags under his eyes. Looks like he doesn't sleep. Why would I want this person having anything to do with any children at all? He doesn't look like a good role model, does he? And this is the thing, right? Children need good role models. Let's go on to the next picture. So I blew up at just a bunch of the background things to look at them. I mean, what am I looking at? Like, would you trust these people around children? I wouldn't.
Imagine if a guy was like, yeah, I want to do some babysitting I'm doing around the neighborhood, and they just started singing, I'm going to take your children.
I'm coming for your children. And it looks like that
Closing
guy
the door.
or that guy, or any of them. I mean, these all look like, this looks like a NAMBLA meeting, you know? Like, these are not the best of, you know, that masculinity
They're not
has
sending
to
their
offer.
best.
Right, let's go for the next one. Even worse.
What's with the soy boy? Oh, because they're singing.
They're singing, yeah. So you've got to forgive the soy boy faces, but look at this guy down at the bottom left. Like, look at these guys. They look like crack addicts. There is no way I would allow any of these people around any of my children. I don't think you should either, especially when they've got such an obvious and open agenda, right? And that's really the problem. It would be enough if they were just being like, look, we just want tolerance and stuff like that. I'd be like, yep, totally damn that. That's fine. Obviously, you know, people don't choose to be gay. No point, no good reason to persecute people for being gay, obviously, right? But it's another thing saying, look, we have designs on your children. We're going to convert your children to being like us. So, no, sorry. I want my children to be happy and healthy and not whatever is happening to that guy down the bottom left.
Whatever you're doing with your life as well.
Like, yeah, exactly. Whatever you're doing with your life, I don't really want this for my children. You know, I want my children to be happy and healthy, to get married, have kids, get a normal job, not be weird predators on the internet, which is what these people are. I mean, they are expressing avowedly predatory intentions to the children of other people. These people who can't have their own children, who are gay and therefore are not going to be reproducing anytime soon. These people are going, well, we can steal your children. How about you leave my children alone? How about you leave other people's children alone? And this is particularly an important point for the authors of this video, the people who wrote it. Tim Rosser and Charlie Son are the two main singers that you saw at the beginning there, because they are not new to this weird promotion and fetishization of paedophilia.
Boy is a compelling musical on a repellent tradition.
So in 2016, the pair of them, Tim Rosser and Charlie Son, wrote the compelling musical called Boy. This is about an Afghanistani tradition called Baka Bazi. Now, if you don't know what Baka Bazi is, maybe you should Google it, just so you can confirm what I'm about to tell you. Because what it is the practice of sexual enslavery of dancing boys in Afghanistan. And so pre-teen boys are sold by their families to just whoever can afford them, and then they're used as sex slaves, and they dance around and they get raped. They made a play about that.
Condemning it?
No, not condemning it. No, they weren't condemning it. They were fetishizing it. Clearly fetishizing it. I mean, this is the way that the San Diego Tribune describes it. The Boy Who Danced on Air, which made its world premiere on Saturday, makes a compelling case. Co-written by the two, the musical touchingly, thoughtfully, and surprisingly explores this ugly, centuries-old Afghan tradition. It was inspired by a 2010 PBS documentary on the recently revived practice of Baka Bazi, which means boy play, where wealthy warlords and merchants buy boys as young as 10 from poor families. They dress them in women's clothing, and they dance for the men and are passed around for sex. US soldiers stationed in Afghanistan were allegedly told to turn a blind eye to the practice, which I've heard from British soldiers as well.
We've seen it. This is what winning looks like documentary has demonstrated this.
I haven't seen that.
The police officers in the rural towns themselves are engaging in this, not just corrupt men. The police do this.
And in
Uncivilized part of the world.
Yeah, well, in 2016, a Green Beret was apparently exonerated for striking one of the child rapists who had kept a boy chained to his bed in 2011. But they end this with Bakabazi is a repellent practice, but
What chipper? What chipper?
But it's approached in The Boy Who Dances on Air with nuance and sensitivity. It clearly has a future ahead, and so does Awata, who seems to be a Broadway star in waiting.
So what happens in this? They become...
I haven't watched this. Read a synopsis. So,
right.
But I don't really want to. This, of course, created a great deal of outrage. The outrage didn't happen until 2020, though. We can go to the BBC one. The musical mostly made a good impression on theatre critics. It was called...
Oh, I bet it did.
Yeah, of course it did.
Theatre critics. Yeah, I bet they loved it.
Of course they did. Right. It was called Courageous, Thoughtful and Beautiful.
Yeah. Same theatre critics who were reviewing Cuties.
Yes, indeed. The same theatre critics who are reviewing Cuties. One review in the New York Times called the subject matter troubling, but said that Son and Rossa had taken the challenge of difficult source material too far. The New York Times is saying, you've gone too far here.
Also, I'm late for a chat with Epstein.
Exactly. And so the Boy Who Dances, the reason this became a scandal in 2020 is because of the lockdowns. Obviously, this couldn't be performed in theatres, and so it had to go online on streaming services where normal people will see it. Because, of course, in a San Francisco theatre, everyone is probably on the same page on certain things. But, of course, when you are getting it on a streaming service, parents are like, well, hang on, what is this Cuties 2.0 garbage that I'm forced to watch? And unexpectedly, the move provoked a wave of outrage and criticism from Afghans living around the world, who, learning of the musical for the first time, accused it of romanticizing child sexual abuse and child rape. So people who are Afghanis, so I guess they'd be the best people to be able to make a moral judgment about
Left
this.
Afghanistan because it's an uncivilized part of the world.
Yep. They saw this on streaming services, watched it, and said, oh, this romanticizes child sexual abuse and child rape. So one...
And they're coming for their children. Coming for your children.
Yeah, and this guy is coming for your children, by the way. He, in his own words, Bakabazi is a harmful practice that should not be in any way romanticized, says one Afghan actress. To have another piece of art focused on Afghanistan completely through the white lens shook up our community. So leftist Afghanis are like, this is disgusting. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're actually romanticizing here. And this is very sus. And now with the We're Coming for Your Children musical, same guy. Of course, he had to apologise for this. He apologised for being pro-pedo. He says, just wanted to post an apology. In no way was that our intention to glorify Bakabazi.
Then why'd you do it?
Yeah, why'd you do it then? We agree that it's abuse.
Did you fall and slip and write the script? What are you talking about?
Exactly. We agree it's abuse, plain and simple. Yeah, but you were glorying it. And it was, we're really sorry about that. Our show came off as an endorsement. It was meant to do the opposite. Sure it was. Sure it was meant to do the opposite.
Just like the writers of Cuties.
Yeah, the New York Times is like, yeah, you've taken this too far. That's meant to be a condemnation of it, is it? Bull. Absolute bull. But anyway, so in other news that I found on Pink News, incidentally, there was just council backlash in Scotland because someone on the Scottish Council was accusing 3 LGBT plus groups of wanting to lower the age of consent to 10. Like that's ever happened.
Accusing or pointing out?
Well, accusing. So 3 LGBT plus groups withdrew from Scotland's Perth and Kinross Council after one of its staff allegedly spread smears claiming they were working to lower the age of consent to 10 years old. So if that's all we have to do to get rid of the communists, get cracking, lads, you know.
What's your views on the age of consent? LGBT, LIP, LF, organization.
Yeah.
Then they get offended and walk out.
Well, they weren't asked. The member of staff was saying it. They were asserting it. So but they've said, "Oh, how could you? I'm leaving." The the politically gay movement has never had anything to do with age of consent. Anyway, so they've ceased all equalities work for Perth and Kinross Council for 30 days in protest at the shocking comments. Based. The staff member, who cannot be named for legal reasons, was also linked to calls to defund LGBT organisations and refuting queer theory. So not a communist. the person on the council is not a communist, and he doesn't like the communists who are the intersectional communists who are weaponizing these identities, and pointed that out. And just to be clear, it's not like there isn't a history of politically active leftists being pedos. I mean, Foucault was a pedo, it seems, according to one man who saw him soliciting child prostitutes.
The guy in charge of NAMBLA, communist.
Yeah, the guy in charge of NAMBLA, communist. Foucault, of course, in his writings, he's quite explicit about his advocacy for paedophilia. He signed a petition to legalize sex with 13-year-old children in 1977, along with all of the other French academics, on which leftist intersectional ideology is built. So no surprise. And, of course, the Washington Post published their "Yes, we do need kink at Pride" article. They want their kids to see adults being sexual. And this quote, I think, aged really, really well in the light of the "We're coming for your children." Children who witness kink culture are reassured that alternative experiences of sexuality and expression are valid, no matter how they become as they mature, helping them recognize that their personal experiences aren't bad or wrong and that they aren't alone in their experiences. Wow, that really sheds a new light on the back of Bazi thing, doesn't it?
Put that next to that sentence.
Exactly. Their personal experiences aren't bad or wrong. No, I think it is wrong when a bunch of Afghan men rape children. I think that's wrong. I think you can say that's wrong. The thing that happened to that child is wrong.
Can we have literally the first thing you have for a civilization?
Raping children, bad.
Level 1.
Washington Post. Well, hang on a second.
Level 0 even. Like just foundational.
Yeah.
Raping kids illegal. Should we have that? Can we agree that one, leftists?
Oh no.
Or do we have to come into Afghanistan?
The LGBT organisations have left the room. I wonder why.
This is why I also hate these arguments like, oh yeah, the British went around the world to civilized places. What a bunch of imperialists. Look at Afghanistan. Look at what they're doing. Do they need some civilization?
Didn't they used to burn to death Indian wives after the husband died?
That was in Bengal, I believe.
Oh.
Which we fixed by hanging the men who did it.
Good. And we should have hung more. Anyway, this, again, browsing pink news is pretty much one of my hobbies at this point. And so I just thought I would go on and you know, why it might actually be not good to encourage children to be gay. And I'm not saying that it's good or bad to be gay in and of itself, but there apparently has been a landmark study.
The liberal standard on this is meant to be it's meant to be genetic, right? Or is
Yeah,
it not?
well, yeah. I mean, when I was growing up in the 90s, it was that you didn't choose to be gay, and therefore it's not something that you have moral control over, and so
It's not morally good or bad. It's neutral. Because
Exactly.
It's not choice in the same way being black.
But there are things that you do have moral control over, and it seems that the way that the left approaches ethical structures is to essentially abolish any kind of personal responsibility. And this is being reflected in the gay community in Britain. Now, when I say the gay community, this is an average. This is not all gays. This is, of course, not those who are politically opposed to the LGBT movement. But it is something that is real, and it is something that you have to deal with. So this report was published by NHS Digital based on a survey of 1,132 lesbian, gay and bisexual adults who participated in the health survey. And they found that these adults are more likely to drink more, smoke more, and have worse mental health than the straight population. This is being framed as health inequality. Your vices...
But those are choices.
Exactly. Their choices to indulge in vices are being framed as health inequality, as in they are not responsible for their own choices. That's what they're framing this as.
I wonder how this intersects with having children.
Good question. I mean, I can say
Like if you take...
I've given up vices since I've been a father.
But that's the thing in my mind. If you take the population of straights who never had kids, do you get anything similar or not? Do they mention that?
They don't mention that, but I would put money on the fact that you do. I think this is about having a sort of freewheeling lifestyle that you have no responsibilities under. And if you don't have any responsibilities, why wouldn't you just indulge? What's holding you back?
And I don't have kids. You do. You've spoken about this before. It's like your things you're interested in change.
Yeah.
Like you're not interested in getting drunk.
No, you've got you've got to be on patrol. Like if it'd be the worst thing to do.
Not zero. I mean, less so than your kids being well, I should say.
Sure. But anyway, so despite LGB adults being 12% less likely to be overweight or obese than straight people, a higher proportion of LGB people, 7%, reported bad or very bad health compared with heterosexual adults. The prevalence of limiting long-standing illness was also higher at 26% compared to 22%, and the trend found that smoking was much higher among the gay community, with 27% rather than 18% of heterosexuals, with lesbian women being the most likely to smoke at 31%, and the lowest being among heterosexual women at 16%. Very interesting, isn't it?
That's weird. How can the lowest group be women and also the highest group be women?
Because there's obviously something about the mindset that informs the decisions that they make. The attitude they have to life is different. The NHS's digital chief statistician, Chris Roebuck, said one of the biggest benefits to collecting and publishing health data is to highlight the health inequalities.
They're not. No.
Well, I mean, that's technically true, but the answer is either we encourage...
Health differences. These are free choices people make. They're not inequalities.
Yeah, well, I agree. But the solutions from this framework would have to be then either we are...
What are we going to do? Put deterrent images on the packaging?
Well, either we prohibit these things for gay people, or we encourage the straights to start drinking and smoking.
Yeah, that is going to have to be the solution.
Yes.
Also, getting them more bad mental health situations as well.
The people who are coming for your children want you to be a slovenly alcoholic with lung cancer.
I want to see
change my mind.
The solution here, because like you put deterrent images on packaging, for example, to stop people smoking full stop. But if you're some weird communist who wants to collectivize different groups and then go after those groups individually, so we're going to stop lesbians from smoking, what do you put on the packaging?
Don't know. But presumably
male gay porn, and then.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But I think it's worth being clear that we don't think this represents gay people as a group, as a demographic. We think this represents politically left-wing queer people. Those people.
That's how they describe themselves. It's not slur.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word they use is queer, and like this obviously describes the sort of permissive left-wing ideological stance that is rampant in these communities because of the powerful activism that they have in their favour. There of course are going to be many conservative, or we'll just call
liberal.
Conservative. But like
even left wing, to be honest, just gay and then
not left-wing gays, right?
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Even I think even you can find left-wing gays who are not like this.
Oh,
it's
yeah, absolutely.
leftist gays.
Yeah, like the politically leftist queers or gays, or whatever you want to describe them.
Queers is better.
There are going to be lots of homosexual people of various different stripes who are not part of this particular movement, and if you are one of those, leave us a comment. Do something to speak out against this, because these people are going to end up becoming the face of being gay, because that's what they're trying. I mean, the video was called literally "A Message from the Gay Community," as if all the gays had just got around and signed off. Yeah, we want to tell the straights we're coming for their kids. No. That's not a bad idea.
I can't think of a movement that is going to destroy gay toleration and lead us in the direction we were before than a group like that.
Oh, absolutely. But then on the other side, the Conservatives, I think, are justly right to be concerned that there is a group of people with active designs on their children, a group of people themselves who can't have children, who have active designs on their own. The gay community has to be like, look, we have nothing to do with children. That's basically, that has to be their opinion. Like, we're not for kids. We're not interested in, like, taking your kids. There are going to be gay couples who get married and adopt. That's fine, obviously. But
I'm not a leftist.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a leftist is basically what the gay community need to do, I think. But this awful predatory idea from people who seem to glorify child molestation. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.